go hide in the loft.
I'm here to collect Mr. Hawthorne's rent! Shut that please! Before I get you stuck in the Christ almighty!
Johnny Fletcher busted into a farmhouse on his property.
You bring me back that stuff to folks.
Well, look at what we have here. Please don't kill me.
Gentleman John Fletcher! Damn it!
Johnny Fletcher! Don't make me chase you! I didn't kill nobody. I didn't murder that family.
That don't break me down to me. You're a bounty hunter. You're a wanted man.
Here.
Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds, and shall find me, unafraid. It matters not how straight the gates, how charged the punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Stand down and no one has to die today.
This only ends one way.
They'll kill you all.
Why not take your chances in a prison cell?
Alright, I'm coming out.
My lord, I have a report.
Speak.
Our latest assassination attempt on Lady Nocturne has failed.
I can see stronger measures are needed. Begin phase 2.
Captured! The notorious Lady Nocturne has been brought in through the valiant efforts of the Void Cobras.
This is a better posse, huh?
Get on the damn bird.
Prisoner, take 5 steps, then stop and turn to your right.
But the pirates of Velix Mortis are far from defeated.
My lord, I have a report.
Let's cut to the chase, since we both know that this isn't a social call and you didn't come here to waste time.
Fine. High Command is gambling that the attempt on your life by your so-called friends has made you willing to cooperate. Am I wasting my time now?
What fate will befall the disgraced former pirate?
The Minotaur sends his regards, traitor.
What does your High Command want, and what are they offering in return?
High Command wants many things, but it wants to show a good faith first.
Fire Team 1, move up. Fire Team 2, covering fire.
Bravo Team 1, push up. Bravo 2, give us support.
What next for now infamous mercenaries, the Void Cobras?
I want every last pirate I used to run with dead. I don't want to be watching over my shoulder every hour of every day.
Now you die!
Will the Void Cobras become targets of Lady Nocturne's former pirate comrades?
Attention, crash override. This is Freighter Ebony Hawk. My ship just lost all power and thrust. We're going down. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
There truly is no honor among thieves. You rabble will turn on each other at the slightest provocation.
Okay, 5, moving past you.
Find out on the next episode of Star Citizen Nocturne.
Jameson, you copy?
Touch me now, I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you.
Jameson, we require immediate emergency extract.
I don't know, man. It looks kind of hot over there.
Oh, I've entrusted my life to idiots.
Okay, got it working, Sarge.
Alright, Corporal. Good work. Follow me! Y'all remember what Sarge said? Stay together, keep comms clear, and heads on the swivel. Clear. Okay, we're gonna secure it, then sweep the entire ship for survivors. Channel, you take point. Doc, you're behind me. Corporal, you're bringing up the rear.
Understood, Sergeant.
Taking flash. Oh, shit.
god, oh my god!
Get the hell out of here!
Get him off me, get him off me, get him off me! They're getting in my armor! Ah!
I hear him saying that people need to check it.
I got into collecting bounties when a gang of bandits bushwhacked my wife, my best friend Coyote, and me. Meet the Jones brothers.
To take a look at the situation in which you find yourself.
That's Joshua.
Kind of real bad. What's the Indian word for
Next to him is Rufus the Doofus.
Like, I don't know. You're just trying to make me look dumb.
All right, I want to
Next
see
to
rifles
him is
on the
Lyman.
ground.
Remember those faces.
And 6.
You'll see him again.
8 hands praising Jesus.
The other ones, well, ain't no use in introducing. They're all dead.
Run!
Obadiah, get the saddlebags!
I got him!
I later discovered the Jones brothers were all wanted men. I figured I might as well get paid for taking my revenge. Men, we still wanted for justice.
Post is still on the wall?
So I hunted down the ones we didn't kill. Lyman, he sang like a bird. Rufus and Joshua were smuggling contraband down the river. Always to the same spot. I found a nice perch on a bluff above the river where I knew they would eventually be. During the war, I was a sharpshooter. Coyote's Whitworth came in handy. For weeks, I tracked them.
Mama.
And then I killed them.
I hear him saying that people need to check it.
If you like our content, we'd appreciate if you'd like, subscribe, and get notifications. Help us extend our reach by sharing our video content. And if you want to help us beat the algorithm, also leave us a comment on some of our videos.
Goose fraba. Oh,
so the blood pressure is good right now, right?
No, it is not. What kind of doctor are you? Because I might need your help if you're like a medical doctor.
Psychiatrist, which I'm medically trained the same way as a psychiatrist.
That'll work. So, last week's stream, for those that weren't watching, I said that's going to be our last stream using StreamYard, which is the product that we've been using for, I don't know, about a year. I got a new platform, OneStream, that allowed me to stream to a whole bunch of extra places. Like I could potentially stream on X if I ever use Twitter, OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
I was thinking that I didn't say it, but I was thinking
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. Twitter, I already said that one. TikTok, bunch of anyway. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm paying less than StreamYard, but I get like a lot more seats and a whole bunch of extra perks. This is good. I could do this. Set it up this morning, no problems. Tried to get in. Your camera's in use. No, it's not. Logged into StreamYard. Camera worked just fine. I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Tried to log into OneStream to launch the stream 30 minutes early to do some music or whatever. Wouldn't let me. Everything locked up. Camera was locked. Microphone was locked. Last minute, I'm like, oh God, I'm late.
Did the same thing to me.
I need some mental help too, because I'm over here like slinging stuff around, cursing. My wife is looking at me like I'm insane. She's like, "What is wrong with you?" She didn't say it, but I could feel what was wrong with you. And I'm like, smashing the keyboard. Fuck, I'm totally losing my shit.
I could feel your pain. I had the same experience not long ago. I went back and got a second doctorate, but in business. And you got to write in business management administration. And so you have to write a dissertation. That's a long document, and you got to give it before a committee. And so the day before, I went online, I practiced, and I did the Zoom call, and put everything on the screen, and went through it perfectly fine. The next day, I get before my committee of like 10 people, and I have to present. None of the equipment worked. Nothing worked. The platforms didn't stream. And I said, ain't this about a...
It's okay. You can say bitch.
Yeah, man, I was ain't this about a bitch because it didn't work worth a shit, and I was cussing and fussing, and they was like, "Don't worry about it. It's all right. We'll just keep going." But they threw me off guard because I practiced and I was ready because I know I've been used to doing speeches and things in front of people, but when you're in front of like 10 different people who had your career in their hand to decide, hey, after years of studying, you can have this or you cannot. It's a different level of pressure, and it was stressful. Nothing was working that day.
We go through this a lot. I feel like
I got through it. I passed the dissertation, and like I'm not doing another damn lick of schooling now.
And now you're
done.
Let me do this again.
I feel like 2 doctorates is plenty.
I swear to God, but the student loans are still kicking my ass. The idea of going back to school, if I go to school and take up classes, I ain't got to pay the student loans. You can defer them for a little while. But the
Right.
minute you're out of school for 6 months, those loans come back into full repayment. And people don't realize that's a huge chunk. And I got probably almost 300K in student loans from grad school. And it's a nice $3,000 monthly payment to student loans. And yeah, and the average person can't afford that. That was one of the things. I don't know if you ever see me on TikTok a lot during my lives. I talk about, universal education system, and so that they can't continue to charge your arm and 20 legs to go to school, because the average person can't afford it unless you got wealthy parents. And God knows I did. My mom was a welfare recipient, and I grew up poor in the projects. So it was hard for me. And only for me to go to school was through taking out loans. And unfortunately, they're gonna outlive me probably.
So, for everyone that's tuning in, our guest tonight is Dr. Kenneth Morgan-Aguilera, and I probably pronounced the last name incorrectly somehow. And you are a PhD doctor, not a medical doctor.
Yes.
Okay. And you're running for office in Texas 12th District, right?
That is correct. Texas 12th Congressional District against Craig Goldman.
I don't know who that is, but he sounds like a douche.
So Craig Goldman is the current Republican for Texas 12th Congressional District, which is the same district I live in, mind you. This is his first year in office. We've never seen him. He refuses to hold town halls. His office is located in downtown Fort Worth in a country club resort on the 12th floor. And we cannot even get to him and go see him. He will not return phone calls. When I say he does nothing for a first-year term, he does nothing. And every single thing that Trump has voted for, he has voted for against District 12. And so as a father of 5 and a grandfather of 8, I can't do that shit anymore. We need a change. That's just not working. We need folks that think and has a brain and that actually understands the working class people. And clearly he doesn't. He comes from money. His family owns quite a few businesses. So he doesn't have the same mentality as the everyday working class person do, and the stress that we go through. Especially when you got butlers and maids to go make your groceries, and you can be on the resort downtown in a country club resort, private, that the public can't even come see you if they need to see you. You have no access to him. That's a problem.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what area does District 12 encompass for those of us that don't live in Texas?
So District 12 is southwest, southeast Fort Worth, which includes White Settlement, Hazelhurst, the Mitzies, which is like Bedford, Euless area, White Settlement, Weatherford, Parker County. So it's a nice little chunk, and a small portion of Arlington that goes up to the Steep Chase, which is a 76120 zip code, which is like the east side of Arlington as you just enter Arlington. And it's about 820 constituents in that district, or in the District 12. 1,000. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 812,000. Yeah, I just realized.
All right.
But it's a pretty big area.
Okay. All right. So you're running, I'm presuming, on universal education, or at the very least, fucking student loans.
I'm going to say my first and primary platform is based around healthcare. With me working in healthcare, and I've ran hospitals as a CEO, executive director for hospitals and things for the last 25 years. I'm a lot older than I look. I got a kid that's 33. With that plug, needless to say, my platform is built around healthcare. Healthcare is a huge priority for me and a number one concern for me. And so with that being said, that is my first thing I want to fight for is healthcare, a universal healthcare plan, because it's a damn shame that, like right now going into 2026, most people don't realize, but they should by now, that your healthcare subsidies are going to expire December 31st, and your premiums are going from about $300 to maybe $1,600 on average. Because speaking of just mines alone, my health premiums went from $300 to $1,687 per month starting January 1st. Correct. And mind you, for my employees, I'm also paying that cost for each and every one of my employees. And so the average person can't afford that. So in the medical world, what does that mean? People getting sick, people going to the emergency room without care, costs is still going to rise because it's going to be passed back down to the uninsured. So it's going to be a problem. You got more women who's going to have health issues with babies, delivering children, and which means they're going to go to the old way of doing things, the backwoods, which is going to be unhealthy for mom and for baby. So it's going to cause a lot of problems. And so my biggest thing is healthcare first, along with universal healthcare, universal child care, some other things. And I know you're thinking when you say universal healthcare, child care, universal, healthcare, child care, and things like that, taxes. Well, man, the original tax plan was designed to support the people, but that's not what our government has done. Our government has took the original design of taxing individuals to make sure that the community was better, but instead they're buying expensive boats for Pam Bundy and Noam and everyone else, and doing things with the money that they shouldn't be doing with the money, which is how it wasn't designed to be utilized. So with the billions that we're paying yearly in taxes, we're already paying for a universal healthcare system, universal child care system. The system just needs to be refined in a better way and used appropriately. And I just think that's not happening right now because you got so many people in office right now that are worried about making their own pockets fatter that they forgot about the people. Honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have my heart with that because I work in healthcare myself. And I don't think that, I think the people that I work with even don't understand the effect this is going to have. They have no idea what's coming. And I'm just counting down to the days of being laid off. Like at this point.
Yeah. I was very disappointed during the government shutdown because we went on a shutdown for 40 days. Now, granted, I know Taco or Donald Trump think he has a lot of power, but truly he doesn't. His power is split between Congress and Senate and the judicial district, the judicial courts. Well, he could, and so what he did was he played food stamps against healthcare in order to get what he wanted. And the people didn't realize because food stamps were already congressionally set aside with the emergency fund, Donald Trump couldn't stop it. He could delay it, but he could not stop it. And so when he forced people to have to choose between food, thinking they had to choose between food and healthcare, some people responded, chose food, not realizing this is going to come back full circle because in 90 days, we're going to be back in a government shutdown because healthcare subsidies are going to expire. The Republicans are saying we're not going to, which is the problem. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Democrats are doing their jobs. I'm not saying Republicans are doing their job. They both have fucked up. Because if they were doing their jobs all along, we wouldn't be in this position now.
Correct.
And so that's why I say I can't get on board when everybody's saying, oh, the Democrats are wrong or the Republicans are wrong. No, they're both wrong because they both have been fucking up and they've both been doing things the wrong way, worried about themselves and not the people. And that's the problem. It has become about politics first and not about the American class working people. If they reverse the way they're doing things and they actually start putting people first, we wouldn't be having this issue. I'm for welfare. I'm for food stamps. I grew up poor. However, the welfare and the food stamp system was never designed for you to live on it for the rest of your damn life.
Right.
It was designed to give you a leg up. But if we want people to get a leg up, we need to give them the other tools they need to be successful. And this is where my universal child care program come in. If you got average person making $7.25 an hour and she has 2 or 3 children, there's no way in hell she can afford daycare to go put that child in school while she goes to work. But if we do like Canada has done, Mexico has done, and a lot of other countries have done and come up with a universal child care program, these women can go back to school, or these single parents, whether it's male or female, can go back to school, better themselves, put themselves in a position that if should the government close down again, they're not stuck depending on the government for food, housing, or other things because they have been made independent and given the tools they need to be successful. Well, right now, our government doesn't do that. They put you on welfare food and they leave you over there and they talk about you like a dog, but then they don't give you what you need. And when the Republicans or the Democrats get pissed off, they shut the programs down, and you're in a situation we were in for 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry to say that and go around, but we're throwing out things, but they're not solving the problems with actual ideas and long-term plans. So it's actually going to get the people off the system rather than becoming independent. Sorry about that. I don't mean to take over your show. I'm sorry.
That's literally
what you're here for.
Yeah, it's our platform, but it's your show. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I read that you're an Army veteran.
Yes, I am. 12 years of the United States
12
Army.
years.
Yes, sir. I started out enlisted before I became an officer. So it was. That's what I say.
Okay.
My oldest kid is 33. I'm 50, just about to turn 50. I grew up welfare food stamps from Chicago. Mother had 7 children, took care of handicapped brothers. So I grew up extremely poor during a time where, I don't know if you remember, But we had government cheese, and the government would come through on the bus once a month and bring you a white box that had government cheese in it. Cornflakes was in a white
Giant
box with a
round
red
thing.
booster. The big box of oatmeal that was in a white box with black writing. That's the time I grew up in, and I was extremely poor. We had the rats, the roaches. They didn't run when you turned the light on in the kitchen. They looked at you like you was crazy. Like, man, what the hell you doing? Turn off that light. They didn't run. That's how poor I grew up, and my clothes were hand-me-downs from my older siblings. So nobody gave me shit. I had to struggle for it, and so I understand the struggle. And that's part of the problem, is that the people that we have now in place are not putting things in place to help the common working class people. Because truth be told, it is the working class families, whether single or married couples, they are the ones that are supporting the economy, and our government has failed them and has failed everyone. And because I identify as a working class person or individual or family person, I understand that struggle. And so it makes my fight completely different versus Craig Goldman or Donald Trump, because these guys don't give a damn about the average class person. If you don't have money or wealth like Epstein and the rest of those, you get the short end of the stick. And so that makes this fight personal for me, because I understand that struggle, and I know what that single mother is going through, a single father, because like I said, I got 5 kids. Hell, I'm almost 50. My oldest is 33, my youngest is 21, and I'm a grandfather of 8. So believe me, I get it, I understand. But if I want things to be better for my children, my children's children, and the rest of the society, I have to do something rather than just sit back and complain. Because like even now, I run a nonprofit. I run a nonprofit healthcare organization in which we take care of the uninsured and the underserved population. Now, I know I can't get too deep in it because it is a nonprofit, but my point for mentioning that is, you know, I'm still giving back to the community. I have not forgotten the community. You know, yes, I could be working in a hospital somewhere making a whole lot more money, or in a private practice doing something different, but I have to remember where I came from in that struggle, because even as a military veteran, I went in and enlisted. You know, I had 2 kids when I enlisted at 18, and I had to take care of my family. And so I did what I had to do. And so that's what got me into the army. That's what got me in enlisted before I ever crossed over, you know, and became an officer. So I worked my way from the bottom to the top, boot camp, crawled up the mountain with the backpacks and drill sergeants in your face. And so been there, done that. I know the struggle. So to answer your question, yes, I am a veteran. I did not start out at the top. I had to work my ass off to get where I was before I got out after 12 years of service.
And I think that that's what you mentioned too, you know, being just a common person.
Yes.
They don't identify as common, right? Even
They
if
do
they
not.
were once upon a time, none of these politicians, for the most part, the majority of them, don't identify as common anymore. They are so far removed from the real everyday problems that it's just crazy to me. I mean, they used to try and fake it. Now they don't even do that.
They take off the masks in front of you. And I think to make things different, I'm also will need to say that I am running a grassroots campaign. I also signed a pledge not to accept any money from APAC or any other foreign interest or lobbying group. I refuse. So far, I have funded most of my own campaign needs because, of course, you know, there are a lot of people running and getting in the race and different things going on. So money has been kind of tight. And I wanted the constituents to realize that I am a serious candidate. So when I had to go pay my ballot fees to register to get on the ballot, I had to pay out of my pocket $3,100, nearly $3,200 just to be on the ballot. But I said it to say I'm running as a grassroots candidate because part of the problem is the people that we got in Washington are bought and paid for. If you listen to their speaking, if you listen to the things that they stand for, because most of them are bought by AI PAC, foreign interest groups, and that's a problem right now. Excuse my language, but I don't give a damn currently about other foreign countries. We have a problem right here in America, and we need to fix our problem first. So how in the hell can we resolve our issues in America if we can't? Let me back up. We can't fix their problems if we can't take care of our own problems here at home. And that's the problem. We put our nose in everybody else's business and we can't take care of home. We got healthcare issues. We got veterans, homeless. Veterans are committing suicide at alarming numbers now more than ever before. Homeless population has increased. Uninsured has increased. I could go on and on and on for days. But if you look at it, the society as a whole, whether you're Democrat or Republican, they are going against the people and for those that donate to their campaigns. And that is a huge problem. And we need to make sure that we get people in office who are putting people over politics, and then you can't be bought. Which is why I kind of like the idea of the blue wave. I like seeing Mondani get in office in New York. I'm not saying I do for everything he stands for, but I like the fact that people was willing to take a chance and give somebody else a fresh start or an opportunity to show what they can do. Because we can keep putting people like Rudy Giuliani and all these other people in office that have been to jail, 34 felonies, and molested children and young women. Then why in the hell can we give somebody else an opportunity to show what they can do? Because frankly, we need limits. We need age restraints in the office because people that have been there for 50 damn years, and they're not looking out for us. They went there, they got there and they got rich. Look at Marjorie Green Taylor. Woman got a net worth of over $25 million right now, but she went in with a net worth of a little over 700,000. And in 4 years, now she's rich. But the average politician in Washington, now that they're there, they're flipping stocks and getting insider trading tips and everything else because they got that access, and now they can do whatever they need to do, and they're loaded. But yet you and I are still struggling to make sure we can pay lights, gas, water, rent, mortgage, and car payments. That's a problem.
Right.
Sorry, but it's a problem.
I love our comments over here. They're talking about the peanut butter and honey sandwiches they made from government food. And somebody else said, I remember the government cheese. I was sitting actually at work today and we were talking about government cheese.
I'm going to turn this fan on. I'm not going anywhere.
One of the girls looked over and said to me, and she's probably, I don't know, 21, 22, 23, something like that. And she said, what's government cheese? And I was like, those were the days.
Baby, that was the best grilled cheese. You take that
it
cheese,
was
you cut that block, you put it between your bread, you toast that bread on both sides, smash it down, and when you eat into that cheese, it was the best damn cheese.
Cheese toasties were the best with that cheese.
And see, these kids today, like, they have frankenbeans, but we created frankenbeans back in the day because we took the pork and beans and cut up the hot dogs and put it in the pork and beans, and that was a meal for us. We took the corn, put hot dogs in the corn.
Have you ever taken a piece of bread and dipped it in milk to like help fill yourself up?
Man, we did all kind. We ate beans and things for days.
I ate cereal with water.
Cereal and water. I was just
remember the powder milk? Milk came in the big white box. God. It was powder. You had to mix the water with it.
Oh yeah,
cereal, and it tasted awful. That's what
it was awful.
The kids today do not realize how fortunate and how blessed they are because the things that they're experiencing now, a lot of us and our parents and grandparents fought hard to be where we are now. And so the struggle that's happening now, they don't get it because they don't understand it. They don't realize what we had to go through. And so the reality of most young children or adults today are, that don't affect me. It doesn't affect me. But in actuality, it truly does. And they may not realize it until much, much, much later. And I'll use the example how things have changed. Amazon pledged a few years ago that they will not lay off people when the AI boom started. Amazon said, hey, we will not replace people and lay off people and hire artificial intelligence and use AI to replace them. The first thing Amazon did now, they laid off 30,000 people and they're replacing them with artificial intelligence and robots to do the same job. Mind you, Amazon is the same company that put millions into the ballroom in Washington.
Right.
So I got a lot of problems, but I keep telling people while we're boycotting and we're going against these companies, we need to look at these companies. If they're not supporting our community, we need to not be supporting them. We need to put money in the community and companies that are willing to invest money back into us. Because Amazon, T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, all these people put billions into the damn ballroom. But when people didn't have food and children were starving, even here in Texas, when Greg Abbott, aka Hot Wheels, went in and canceled the feeding program for the children, these companies didn't step up. Home Depot, Lowe's, none of these companies stepped up and offered any kind of assistance to help the less fortunate. They did not. And it's a damn problem today. And people have to realize that it is a problem.
Hey, let me ask you a question since you brought that up. Somebody mentioned to me, now my mom lives in Texas now, but she's over like Georgetown, like Austin area. Mm-hmm. But somebody mentioned to me not that long ago that they treat HEB as though they're a small business in Texas.
No, HEB is a huge chain.
Well, that's what I said, but that's when somebody told me that, I thought, what? Is that right?
HEB is a Democratic-owned company. They're very Democratic, very community-based. And so unlike Walmart and Albertsons, HEB will donate to campaigns for Democrats, and they'll give things back. That's the difference. HEB is very community friendly. If you call them and say, hey, I need to feed some people, I need this much food, HEB will say, what time can you be here to come pick up the food? That's how HEB is.
Right.
They truly give back, but there are not many companies like that.
Right. Maybe that's what they meant by it. That's why they, treat them like a small business and give them all their business. That could be what they meant.
I love HEB. They got some of the best food, some of the best fruit, They just ain't built one in my neighborhood yet.
Yeah, well, it's time. It's definitely time.
Were you in DC over the 21st, 22nd?
You mean that nice little pew pew we had over there with the veterans?
We had to remove the regime rally.
Before that?
No,
like
I didn't.
Several days before that. It was...
I didn't. But speaking of that, that's another issue that pissed me off. Our president can advocate, and I'm not advocating violence, guys, by any means necessary, by any means at all. Okay, when Charlie Kirk was taken out, okay, the president went on the news media and they did all kind of press briefings and things of that nature. But when Melissa Hartman was shot and attacked, and her husband and the dog and the other people, Donald Trump didn't do these things. He didn't give not one single speech. But when these soldiers got shot on DC here recently, Donald Trump didn't go on the news. He didn't do any kind of news briefings. He didn't do any damn thing. So for me, as a veteran, it says a lot to me. And it tells me how he feel about me as a veteran, because he didn't give a damn about me. The same strength and energy he put into Charlie Kirk going to the funeral all the way in Arizona, he would do the same thing for these two veterans that had just fallen in defense of the crap that he has them doing in DC. Because these soldiers should not be patrolling as their fucking police officers, because that's not how we're trained in the civilian section. And so people are not watching and they're not paying attention, but our president continues to show us how he leads and that he do not care. And I just wish that people will stop and realize what's happening before it is too late, because we're getting further and further into his term, and we only 12 months in now. This is the 12th month. And a lot of shit has happened in this 12 months, and he continues to show us what he are, and yet he's been bombing Venezuela. Why the fuck we worry about Venezuela? He just pardoned the president from over there that brought over 400 billion pounds of cocaine and drugs into the U.S. Traffic, and he pardoned the man, but yet he's trying to stop drug trafficking. Come on, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. People are not listening and they're not paying attention. They need to listen to what is being said, and they're not. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I can go on for days.
No, we're with you on that.
Our social media has been running that since it happened. The whole discrepancy between, the one guy who was a social media personality versus, sitting politicians or military troops, even though they're guard. I got to bust on the guard a little bit because I was active duty.
Yeah, me
regular
too.
Army.
Same here. Who?
I gotta make fun of the nasty girl a little bit. I can't call them that, and now I have to call them the National Gardeners. Is what I've been calling them. That's been a constant theme for us, and the whole fact that if they hadn't been there in the first place,
it's wrong. There's so many areas I can look at and I can see where things are falling apart, and I want to reach out and fix every area, but I know that's not realistic. But I am glad, and I do feel better that people are seeing what's happening and they are paying attention. There are the King's protests. So there are a lot of movement, but I need people to realize that it's more than just protesting. You got to vote. You got to follow through. So when things do appear to be simmering down, you can't forget how you feel right now. When it's time to vote for 2026, you can't forget how you felt, because this is not the end of it. They have to remember this. And right now, because we're going into a time of elections for most congressional candidates or Senate people sitting on the Senate floor. This is election time for a lot of them. And so a lot of real lobbying in Washington is not going to happen. A lot of real legislation is not going to happen right now. They're going to politic and they're going to play these games. And people need to remember, these are the same assholes that put us in the position that we're in right now. And so clearly they can't do the job. Clearly we need to make some changes. And it has to happen. And I think people need to remember that, which is another reason why I've reminded people, and I've frequently said, hey, yes, I'm a working class individual. I am a veteran. I've worked in the medical community for well over 25 years, running hospitals, healthcare. I'm not just some idiot who's coming over here saying, hey, I want to run for office. You know, I understand the backside of running businesses. I have a doctorate, double doctorate. You know, it's about psychology and into my business. So I understand the aspects of what needs to be done, what has to be done. And so I bring a very special tool, unlike Trump, who don't have a fucking clue to what he's doing. Or the fucking Department of Secretary right now, Department of War, who ordered the mass Murdochs of people to, I mean, I can go on and I can go on for days, but we got to unite as one, and we got to get rid of those people in Washington that are only there for the dollar. They're only there to get rich because they are not looking out for us. You know, I am part Black, I am part Hispanic Latino, which you can tell by the name, which I know you're probably wondering, where did that come from? Mixed code. But I have family that is from Mexico, you know, just like I have family that's Black from Chicago, you know, and it terrifies me because the things that Trump is doing. Trump ran and was elected off of a large Latino voting population. A large Black population voted for him because he promised certain things. And as soon as he got there, he flipped the script and immediately wanted to end mail-in ballots and certain things that actually put him in office. Now he wanted to end. And like I remind people, he said, if you vote now, you never have to vote again. This will be the last time. They better listen to that man. Things are happening and we got to realize it. We need people in Washington that understands. And I'm a huge advocate as to how in the hell can you represent me in Washington if you don't understand my damn struggle? If you don't understand my struggle, what I'm going through, how in the hell can you fight for me? But because I have lived that struggle as a veteran, as a healthcare worker, as a provider, and running organizations, I get it from different angles. So it makes this fight personal for me. And so when I'm fighting for the rights of other people, I'm there. I get it. And it's personal. It's not that I'm there to get rich. I'm there because I understand that struggle and it is real.
I think you're right, though, Mem Donnie made us all sit up a little straighter.
Yes,
right? And say, oh, we can win this back. We can do this. People want to change, right?
They do. But we got some weak ass Democrats too. I'm not gonna sit here and lie.
It's so true. So
we
true.
got some weak ass Democrats, and those seven plus the one independent that voted to reopen the government need their ass whooped. I don't mean literally whooped, but they need to be out of office. They need to be what's the word? Primary, because it's over. I know that a lot of them are not running, but it's a problem. They're not looking out for the people. But Mondani's election and the Virginia election, those new governors, there was a blue wave. As the blue wave starting, and it's gonna sweep. And I don't believe it's gonna end until the end of 2026 election. But it's time for a huge change in the economy. We need to change our tax structure because Donald Trump did the big bitter bill and gave the billionaires $75 billion in permanent tax credits, but yet the working class family got no benefit. He said, oh no, we gave you no taxes on tips. Did you read the fucking bill?
Right.
You can write off automobile interest. Not for you and I. For a billionaire company, yes, you can write off the interest on your loans, your auto loans. So he's throwing out what sounds glamorous and what sounds great, but people are not reading the fine print. All the things that Donald Trump has put in place right now has been for the top 1%, not the working class families, none of that. He gave Argentina $40 billion through the government shutdown, but yet our veterans can't get proper health care.
And I was there for Thanksgiving. I served food at the VA, which we do every year. But when I was there, I was looking around thinking, where is everybody? That hospital is usually full of veterans, full of staff, full of people getting care. I mean, even on a holiday. And I was looking around like, what is going on? Where is everybody? I mean, we were done in just a few hours. And I was like, that's unusual. We're usually there all day.
They laid off.
Yep. Yeah, you're seeing it, right? You're seeing
they laid off
things
a lot of people in the VA hospital. Care was already shitty for veterans. Right. I worked at the VA in the beginning of my career 20-some years ago. And I worked at the VA, and I remember walking in, and you had veterans in the room, like 6 or 7 vets in one room, beds turned sideways, no privacy. You had a bunch of interns coming through, didn't know what the hell they was doing, didn't know hear from their asses, and the veterans were mistreated. So no, I didn't go to the VA. I know that sounds horrible. I am a veteran, but the care that the veterans get is not up to par. And I do not trust the VA with my life because I've seen the way they treat veterans. If you get sick, you need immediate health care. You got to get on the list to get in. And then you got to get approval to go to an outside agency if you need immediate care or attention. This is not what it was supposed to be. This is not how TRICARE was built. This is not what TRICARE was based around for the veterans. They've completely gutted the program and they've changed everything around and they've screwed the veterans, and it's a problem. But it doesn't just end there with the veterans. Look at the teachers. Look here in Texas. Greg Abbott has taken the funds from the public school system and rediverted those funds into a private school voucher. I'm a homeowner. That's a fucking problem for me, because when I pay my property taxes, this is supposed to go to the certain district of schools that are public schools. But yet you wonder why you got large classrooms, kids are starving, you got broken books, you got worn out schools, you got teachers that have 1:40 ratio in the classrooms, but yet our governor has decided to take these funds from public schools and invest them into a private school voucher. Yet when you got private schools, they have a classroom size of maybe 1 to 20 with the teachers assisting in the classrooms, but yet our kids can't get school feeding programs. But Abbott did this in Houston. He went in, took over the HISD in Houston Independent School District, put in a for-profit entity to manage it, and flipped it. And those same people are now contributing to Abbott's campaign. If you go and pull Greg Abbott's campaign right now, you will see those people listed on his campaign.
The back scratchers.
I got a problem with it. The things that Greg Abbott is doing in office represents those that have supported his campaign. And enough is enough. We need to get rid of these damn professional politicians that have been in office since forever, and are these candidates that are accepting money from private lobbying groups or special interest groups like AI PAC that looks out for foreign interests. I'm sorry, but we truly need to go back to making America what it needs to be. And until we can take care of our own people here at home, we cannot worry about what the hell is happening in other foreign countries. I'm sorry. Trump wants that Nobel Peace Prize so damn bad, but he's not paying attention to what's happening here in America.
I'm glad that they're finally reporting, though, on all of the fraud and waste and things that are going on with these school vouchers. I've been reading article after article recently, just in the last week or so, about it all, and I was just floored. Like,
it is
okay.
It's piss poor, and this, but I'm gonna tell you how Trump laid the foundation for Abbott to finish what he's doing. When they went in to try to tear apart the Department of Education in Washington, this was so that Abbott and other schools can take the lead. He said, "I'm going to put education back on the states." Bullshit. Bullshit. Right. He had other ulterior. Everything Donald Trump does is to serve his personal agenda, to make sure that he and his family is rich, or his buddies. Not for us, because during that shutdown, he had a great Gatsby party. When people couldn't buy food and get food because they didn't have food stamps, he's throwing parties in the White House. He brought the guy over from Argentina, and they over there dancing in the damn White House with a party, but people cannot get what they need. I'm sorry, it's a problem. We can't get healthcare, but we can give Argentina $40 billion. We can't get healthcare, but Kristi Noem got 2 new jets so she could fly around. Patel, one-eye ass, is flying his girlfriend on a private jet. Trump flying around to different countries at taxpayers' expense. No other president traveled the country during a government shutdown, spending millions of dollars flying around the map. They made the people come together to figure out something that would work for all the people. Trump did not do that. He consistently says he has a plan for healthcare. He said he had concepts, 8 years ago? But yet we've yet to see a plan. So unless he has a better plan or a better idea, they need to renew the ACA subsidies at least for another year or two while they figure this shit out. But meanwhile, the people should not have to suffer.
He just only needs 2 more weeks.
And you and I both know the legislation and Mike Johnson, he need to go back to his grinder. He need to go back on Grinder and leave the damn people alone.
It's so true.
There's no way in 12 days they're going to... One, Mike Johnson was very clear that he was not going to bring anything to the floor for healthcare. He said it verbatim, flat out. So there's no way in 12 days the House is going to agree on an appropriate bill, send it from the House to the Senate, then for President Trump to sign it. Even the Epstein files, that was a fucking joke. Yes, he signed it, but he didn't have a choice in that matter. Now, I'm going to say, even though we had 218 signatures on that, unless we had 2/3 majority in the House and in the Senate,
right,
he still wouldn't went anywhere. It was just for all smokes and giggles and dance. Trump's not stupid, so he declared what? A new investigation into Bubba, his oral buddy.
Right.
You know, come on, guys, come on. He knew what he was doing when he launched the investigation right before he signed that, because that meant he could tell them, we can't release that. It's an open investigation. Everything this man does is strategic. He's playing chess while the Democrats are playing checkers. Not
It's so true. You know what, Norma? Can you tell me? She said that Trump's golfing alone has cost us $70 million. I saw something the other day saying that he spent over 25%, I think it was, of his time on a golf course since he's been in office. I just thought to myself, now, could you imagine, like, when you think of like all these things, if Biden had done that, if Obama had done that, if any of us had done that, it would be.
Clinton got his dick sucked and he got impeached.
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious? Now, granted, whatever happened in his bedroom or in the Oval, that fight was truly between Hillary
and him
and Clinton.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying what he did was right. It was flat out wrong. However, they impeached him for that. But all the things that Donald Trump has done, except a plane from Qatar, he's spending millions of dollars flying back and forth to Mar-a-Lago on the weekends. J.D. Vance has had about 9 vacations so far. And by the way, Trump's working day starts around 12:30 every day. He's not in the Oval at 8 in the morning. His day starts at 12 and his ass is sleeping tired by 4 o'clock p.m.
Well, and even then, somebody just said, can Trump actually play chess? He can't read. Y'all seen these blow-ups that they do of him of tweets and pictures? Yeah. And oh my God, it's so crazy.
Trump is
so crazy.
I truly believe the man has some dementia. He has some dementia.
I know he does. My dad had it. I know he does. All the signs are there.
They released some information this morning about his MRI. It was this morning, yesterday. We don't order fucking MRIs unless something is truly wrong. And they said, oh, he's in remarkable health. He's in great health. He's in perfect health. BS. You don't order MRI and say that you...
If these people told the truth, though, we all know what would happen. Their lives would be threatened. You know what I mean? Like, I think eventually it'll come out, probably when he's gone. But they're not going to say the truth now.
You look at Trump's hand, you look at his feet. If he had renal insufficiency recently or in his legs where he had a problem with his blood flow, that's part of the heart. It's part of the cardiovascular system. So there's no way all of a sudden now he's in great health.
Perfect health.
Now, if you look at his ankles were huge. Those are all signs of heart failure.
Right. So that's what I said, CHF.
Correct. So for those of us that have spent years in the medical field, we can recognize this shit a mile away. The bruising on the hands, the swelling of the hands, the swelling of the ankles and feet. It's there. So whether they're paying attention or not, they think that the American people are stupid. But us that are healthcare workers that have been around for years, we know what this shit is. The man is sick. The man, I'll be surprised if he continues to eat McDonald's for the rest of his campaign, the rest of his term, which is 3.5 years left. Shut up.
I don't think he'll make it. I don't
either.
I mean, CHF is a death sentence no matter what. It doesn't go away.
Failure.
Just
one failure. That failure rhymes with fart.
Yeah, that alleged shooting that supposedly shot him in the ear. Come on now. You and I know. I don't care if you're black, white, green, Mexican, Hispanic. If you shoot a person in their ear and the part of the ear comes off, it keloids. Look at Trump's ears when they zoom in on his head. That ear is perfect. There's no scarring. There's nothing there on that ear where he was allegedly
shot. And cartilage doesn't regenerate.
No, ma'am, it does not.
Cartilage does not regenerate.
Anytime the ear is damaged, it leaves a scar. Period. It keloids. He was allegedly shot, remember, when it went through the ear and injured the ear. Mind you, which I believe that was staged for politics purposes for his election campaign, because there's no way in hell, and this man has already been found guilty, by the way. That was the fastest trial I ever heard of. But there's no way from a medical perspective you can tell me this man was shot and his ear is perfectly normal right now.
Right.
No, ma'am. It would keloid, it would scar. If you see people with earrings in their ear, they got those big hoops that are drugged down. That ear never closes back up. It never goes back to where it was. So
no, you'd need surgery to.
And even then, it's going to leave a scar.
It's going to leave a scar.
I mean, we have a president and commander who is full of shit. We have a president and commander who cares more about building a $350 million ballroom than he does about the people. But I believe he's building that ballroom. Why? Because he don't intend to leave the White House. Why in the hell would you spend $350 million on a ballroom, but then, unless you do not intend to leave the White House?
Right.
The next issue with that is but you turn around and say you're going to pay for half of this yourself or get money from the fund, from donors. But then he turned around and told America we owe him $230 million.
Right. What a coincidence.
Because of the things that were happening. Well, hey, we need to sue his ass for the mental anguish that we're all being inflicted on right now because of his piss poor leadership styles. So I can go on for days. But yes, somebody just said they're crooks. They're all fucking crooks. JD Vance, Pete, Gnome, dumbass Bundy. I'm angry. I'm upset, and I take it personal. Even with this damn gerrymandering in Texas, and I'm a little pissed at the Supreme Court because Alito decided to give a temporary stay, which he agrees to give a ruling by December 7th because it closes down, being able to get on the ballot by the 8th. This is a problem. They have flat out admitted to creating a map that suppresses the black and brown community, and the Supreme Court gives him a stay after a lower federal court says this is illegal, this is gerrymandering, this is racist. But this is our Supreme Court. They reverses Roe versus Wade. No man, in my opinion, has the right to tell a woman what to do with her body. I'm sorry. That's between her husband, and her doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You tell a man what he can do with his penis and see what happens.
Right. Well, that's what I said. I said then vasectomy should be mandatory as soon as you hit puberty. If that's what we're doing.
But hang on. But you can spill your seed and you don't get charged with attempted murder for spilling your seed. But if a woman spills her seed or the embryo, it's murder. She can be charged. Are you serious? Because truly, a man's semen is life. It is life. I can go on and on, but as you see, I'm very passionate about healthcare.
We get it, though. I mean, like, we're all in the same boat, and I think people are waking up, which makes me feel a little bit better. Makes me feel like we're getting some things done.
Agreed.
I mean,
I think on top of this, and I know I haven't mentioned it yet early, I'm also an advocate of our penal system needs reform. The prison system needs to be reformed. I expected, and granted, I did not vote for Trump, but I really believe because he was a convicted felon with 34 counts, that he would get in office and do some kind of felon reform. People in life make mistakes. People are not perfect. Shit happens in life. Okay, I get it. I understand that. But I really thought that because he was a convicted felon, he would get in office, pass legislation that gives felons a second chance, especially for those that have turned their life around. Because right now the prison system is owned by a for-profit entity, and it's like a modern day slavery is essentially what it is.
It is.
But
yeah.
The guys that are in prison are not rehabilitated. When they get out, they're in such bad constraints that they can't get decent jobs, they can't find decent housing, so they're forced back to the streets to sell drugs and do illegal things, and they end up back in jail. But if this president, who used the experience that he's had by being a convicted felon and actually advocate for laws that actually give felons a second chance at life, or even expunge it. If you went 3 or 5 years without any more issues and you had a nonviolent crime,
then get rid of
I
it.
think you should be able to expunge that record and it cannot be utilized against you. So I'm an advocate for a prison reform system because I worked for Texas Department of Criminal Justice. I ran the drug rehab program for the DFW and Abilene area. So I dealt with the prisoners on a daily basis. I dealt with the drug addicts, the crackheads, the children. And a lot of these that were repeat offenders were 16, 17, 18-year-old children. When the fentanyl issues hit, I can tell you, one day we coded 6 guys on the unit because they overdosed. And I was breaking ribs and bringing people back using Narcan, and all of these things were happening. And these kids will go out the next day because a lot of them got work release programs. They could leave the prison during the daytime and go out and work and come back. Well, they come back with fentanyl stuck up their butt. And they throw things over. They brought drugs back in, and within an hour or two of being in, they OD. And when fentanyl first hit a few years ago, and the kids were dropping like flies.
Right.
It was bad. So I have seen the inside of the penal system, and I've seen how children, young adults, older adults are not rehabilitated truly. We need to fix this system. We need to quit failing the people and do something that actually helps. We can't expect these guys to get out and revamp their life and turn things around if we don't give them the tools that they need. So I know I sound real progressive, but I truly believe we need progressive change right now.
We do. We need major change, major progressive change. Yeah. And I think too, had he spent a single moment in prison, he might have come out and said, I'm ready to do some prison reform, but no.
Hey, that should be. I truly believe that that's the only reason he became president, was to avoid going to jail, because I believe that he would be in jail right now. 34 counts. And then what is it? Epstein's girlfriend, because she wanted to release secrets or some things about him, what did he do? He moved her from from a maximum security prison to a boot camp. She's in Bryan, Texas, and they bringing her in food and this is not what happens to.
I think she's getting out of there. I think
he's
had
gonna
it
pardon
been
her.
anybody else who could, she said, "I'm not going to blow the whistle on you, but you got to get me out of here." Now he's just biding his time till he does it.
He's buying the time. Everybody that Trump made the big deal about Biden's pardons and about him using an auto pen. Well, Trump has done the same thing. And half the time when he asked him who he pardoned, he's like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize."
Who is that person? Who are you talking about? I've never heard of them. Like, how did you
So-
not hear of them if you pardoned them?
Again, so what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. Trump talks a lot of bullshit, a lot of games, and it's a problem. But I know I'm speaking about Trump a lot, but see, it's not just Trump. I'm going to throw something else out. Here in Tarrant County, in the last year or so, we had over 75 prisoners die in Tarrant County Jail, the county jail.
Wow.
The county, the commissioner, Tim O'Hare, refused. Let me back up. The sheriff for Tarrant County over the jail refused to come down to the commissioner's court and give an account to the 75 people that died in Tarrant County Jail.
How do you just refuse? Aren't you supposed to report to the public?
You damn right. He's supposed to. But Tim O'Hare and his there's 5 people on the county commissioner in Tarrant County. There's a couple Hispanics. There's 2 blacks. There's Alicia, there's Ramirez, but there's 2 blacks and 2 Hispanic guys, and then you got the white guy, which is Tim O'Hare. You tell me in what day and time that 75 people can die in the jail system and the Department of Justice does not come in and investigate.
Right.
Nothing has happened. We even had a young woman that went in pregnant, delivered, and died in jail. But this is Tarrant County, 75. But it took Alicia Simmons, the county commissioner who's rerunning, to point it out. And then when the public showed up at the courthouse, Tim O'Hare locked them up, threw them out of the courtroom because they told him that he was being a racist and that he wasn't being right, that we had a right to disagree with the judicial maps, closing down polling locations. He kicked them out. If they smiled or laughed or clapped, they were kicked out of the courtroom. This is Tim O'Hare. This is why I say, I know I keep talking about the federal election, but on a local level, we need change as well because you got a lot of crooked judges, lawyers, DAs. We got a problem. So
and they're following the lead too of this.
They're following the freaking lead. If you look at the things that are happening right now in the Tarrant County DA department, it's a freaking joke. Fort Worth District Attorney, there's a new lady running right now, Tiffany Burks. And if y'all pay attention to what Tiffany's doing, Tiffany runs a great campaign. She's running, she's serious. She's not new to the DA's office, but she's running for re-election. She hasn't been in a while, but she's running again now on a good platform. But if you listen to the things that she's saying, Tarrant County's in trouble. You got a lot of people that should be locked up getting away with murder, literally, in Tarrant County right now. And those that should be held accountable are not being held accountable. And those that shouldn't be, or should be given some kind of diversion program, they're not getting. It's a game, and we need to pay attention to our local elections as well. Our county commissioners court. These people, you're right. Tim O'Hare does not deserve to be reelected. We got Ramirez, these other guys that are in I think it's 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, but it's 2 other guys. Ramirez is one of them. These guys need to be voted off in primary. This is re-election time, and they need to put these guys to the side because they are not looking out for Tarrant County. They voted to shut down. There was over 137 permanent polling sites closed in Tarrant County. 130 some polling locations that Tim O'Hare decided to close. And when they voted, 3 of the 5 voted to shut it down. It was the only 2 black guys, Alicia and Roderick, voted not to do that. They closed 117 temporary locations and 120 permanent locations. That is a hell of a lot of voting locations to close, and they were in predominantly black and brown communities. Tim O'Hare.
That is crazy.
He had the 2 other Hispanic guys voted with him. Now, for me, as part of the Latino Hispanic community, how in the hell can you vote for that? Hurting your black and brown community that you were elected to represent, to side with Tim O'Hare, who doesn't give a damn about the people. Go back and watch some of the elections. Go back and watch some of the courtroom views from Alicia Simmons' website when she streamed things live, and you will see Tim O'Hare kicking out the people. And the other constituents didn't say that. He told Alicia to shut up. We don't want to hear nothing you got to say. This was during an open forum.
Wow.
So if he has this kind of disrespect for his fellow constituents or his fellow panels on the board with him, precinct, what does this tell you about how he feels about you as his constituent? He doesn't give a damn.
No.
So people need to realize that voting starts on a local level. And if you want change, it starts on a local level and it's not just on a federal level. Federal is important, your congressmen are important, your president elections are important, your senators are important, but your county commissioners, your clerk of courts, these are important positions and seats as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, if you think of anybody too that we should talk to,
please
send them
reach
our
out
way
to
because
Tiffany.
we're happy
I
to.
will. Tiffany Burks, that's running for DA for Fort Worth. She's another good one. Rodney Lee is running for Precinct 4. JP, he's another good one. There's quite a few that are actually great running for office. The and I stand behind them. I'm out there with these guys, and they're great. But you got some that are not good that need to go somewhere and sit down. The only problem I have with politics today, I'm gonna be honest with you. Back in my day when we first started, these things were happening. I'm gonna use Houston for example. Houston in the district where Isaiah ran for, which I think was District 30 or District 18 in Houston, where they had 16 Democrats running for the same seat. What the hell? If you have 16 Democrats running for the same seat, I remember the day when people got behind the strongest Democratic on the ticket and the strongest Republican on the ticket. You didn't split the ticket with 16 people running. Because when you split the vote between 16 Democrats running for the same ticket, rather than sitting behind the strongest candidate, you dilute the vote and you cause a runoff. Because now you have over 800,000 constituents in that District 30 in Houston that does not have a representative representing them right now, because we need to now have a runoff because we had 16 Democrats running on the same ticket. That is crazy. I'm not saying I'm not for democracy. I am. But it used to be there was one Democrat on the ticket and there was a backup Democrat on the ticket. And then there was one Republican in the backup. But when you got 8 Republicans and you got 16 Democrats running for the same seat, that's absolutely ridiculous. And it really slows down progress and it slows down progression, because now you got to have a runoff. Whereas if you'd had that one strong candidate on the ticket and you were supporting that one strong candidate who was more likely to win versus the other 15, things will be different. We got to look at what we're doing, because we're wasting a lot of money on elections and campaigns that people are donating for, only for 16 people to run in one spot. This is crazy. I'm sorry, it is crazy, but we got to better use our resources. We got to make sure that we're putting the best people out here for office. I'm sorry. I know that sounds horrible, and I probably shouldn't say that, but it's true. We need to. You're
diluting. You know. Yeah. All of the changes you can make, you're diluting things with that. I agree with you. And that being said, though, I think that I've been hearing about a lot of organizations lately that are supporting and helping people get involved in politics. So again, we're always going to say to our audience, step up. Step up. We need you. Step up and run for these local races, run for these. But, you know, at the same time, you're right. But the other side of that is, though, y'all got to get behind each other, right? When you see somebody who's succeeding, y'all got to work together and say, you know, let's get behind this person, you know, and support.
We need to unify. Now, I'm also going to say this. There are a lot of organizations out here claiming, oh, we're going to help these candidates get elected. We're going to pay for your filing fees. I went to some of these same companies. They say, oh, we're going to give you filing fees. We're going to do this. We're going to give you all. They're lying. You're donating to these other organizations that are saying they're going to help the grassroots candidates and give them money for their campaigns. They're lying. They're not donating. I can call 5 of them out right now and I won't do it. But when I reach out to them and say, hey, y'all are advertising that y'all are paying filing fees and y'all are paying for these things and helping with the campaigns and making phone banking, they were not. Then they said, oh, well, we're only doing it for those that cannot afford it. Well, how do you know if I can or cannot afford it? You didn't ask me. You didn't talk to me. But you're advertising. You need to raise money. We need people to donate for these causes. But yet they're using the money to fund their organizations. But they're not putting this money back into the grassroots candidates running. So we're having to be forced to rely on people to help us. And like I said, guys, I'm grassroots. Yeah, we need the support. We need the donations from the grassroots community. It needs to be about grassroots and not about these political lobbyists, you know, buying the vote. But we also need these real organizations that are saying we're going to support the candidates. They need to actually do what they say they're going to do and not raise money and use it on something else.
Yeah, I agreed. I'm going to let you take it, Sarge, just because I need to get a drink. I'm out.
I had to go get one.
I'll be right back.
Still riding that rage from an hour ago, hour and a half, roughly.
I know you got to let it go, man. It ain't worth the stroke. And I know I'm rumbling on and on and on, but I just think these are some very important issues, that are happening right now, and people need to realize these things are serious and we need to do something about it. But I also want to let people know, even though I'm running for Congress in Texas, the things that are happening in Texas will affect every state. So if you have people saying, "Oh, well, this is just Texas," no, because what happens in Texas is going to happen in California, New York, Washington. It doesn't matter. These things roll out on a federal level. When laws are passed for Texas, these laws often file out across all 50 states. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to the candidates that are speaking. So not only if somebody's running in California, pay attention to what the California candidate is saying or what the person that's running for re-election is saying, because the things that they do today will affect you tomorrow.
Yeah. Especially when people see things happen in another area and they're like, well, if they can do it, why can't we? I mean, we had this big blue wave, a month ago, and now we have special elections. It reminds me, I got to look up the special election results for tonight for Tennessee's, I think, 50-something district with Van Epps, who's an Army veteran like us, but he's Republican. And then Afton Bain.
Mm-hmm.
That's going on today. They think there's a big possibility that seat will flip blue, which explains why everybody was out from the GOP was out in Tennessee.
Yeah, I've been watching Tennessee. Tennessee is hot right now.
Yeah,
but it is speculated that will flip blue. That was because they said it's usually a 12-point span difference in that area in Tennessee, where the special election is going on. But they're saying that it is really a close call, it's a close margin right now in Tennessee for that current election that's running. So yeah, it's happening. It is happening. This blue wave is coming, believe it or not. But I just want people to realize it's not about blue, it's not about red. It's about the people. And that's what we got to get back to, is making sure that we're doing what's in the best interest of the people. And right now, a lot of the people are being neglected, whether you're a Republican or Democrat. If you look at the healthcare subsidy, it is a given fact. Majority of the people that are on the healthcare subsidies are in red states. So this is not necessarily blue states. These are red states that rely heavily on these ACA subsidies. And so, but you don't hear the White House talking about this. You don't hear Mike Johnson, aka Grindr Boy, talking about that majority of the red states rely on the ACA subsidies. So they diluting and they're putting a lot of misinformation, and it's not real. It's not real. Just like with the food stamps, when we had the government shutdown, you have a lot of red states receiving food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
It's not tied to just the Black community or the brown community. And with that being said, they keep hollering about, well, we're trying to give insurance to immigrants. That's a freaking joke. Immigrants and illegals cannot get health care. It is a federal program. One of the first things they do is run your social security number, and they will know if it's fake or real. You cannot. Your immigrants can't even get welfare food stamps. Most of them are working 2 or 3 jobs. And let's be real. I don't know how many Mexicans but most of them are working 2 or 3 jobs and doing construction and everything else. They're not paying. They're not getting food. They're not in the grocery stores paying with a food stamp Lone Star card. They're paying cash. They're paying for the things they're getting. They're investing billions of dollars into an economy that they will never, ever even get the benefits of. Now, yes, we need to control our borders. I'm not saying I'm for people just running in. That is not what I'm saying. We do need to make sure things are right and things are orderly. But if we're going to talk about and we're going to ostracize this particular side of the community, let's do it right. Because if you want to kick them out, how about refunding the billions that they have invested into the economy? Because our immigrant community puts a lot of money into the system that majority of them will never ever see a benefit out of. And I agree. Like somebody just said, America is a country of immigrants. It was built on the backs of immigrants, but our president has turned this into a slaughterhouse. He's weaponized ICE. He's taking funds from FEMA and reallocated these funds to terrorize the people. it's a problem. But my thing is, if he's doing it to them, he will do it to you. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If it's not you, you would soon be next. You being the generally speaking you, whether it's pasty white guy like me or
when Trump if you remember, the first state he attacked was California with the National Guard, which our Constitution, you and I both know from serving, there are laws that forbid our military from being deployed on U.S. grounds. Whether it's National Guard or in there, you cannot do that. There are issues in the country that forbid it. But he immediately attacked California. And they thought, oh, this is just California. But then what did he do? He backdoored. And then he hit D.C. And then he went from D.C. to Illinois. And now he's threatening other blue states. What happens in one state, he uses it as a blueprint for others. This does not stop there. And this is why I keep telling people, what he do in one state, he will do to another. It is not the end. And if something doesn't happen, or if our sorry ass Supreme Court does not step up and do their jobs, we as newly elected congressmen and senators need to figure out a way to get those sitting Supreme Court justices off the damn bench. Because the whole idea about them being appointed for life is they're supposed to be unbiased. But when you got majority of them appointed by Donald Trump or certain special interests like Justice Alito and Ketanji Brown, the other little, these people are appointed, and they're clearly siding with Donald Trump, even though these things have already been litigated in court and have been determined by the Supreme Court. But Trump goes and he files a motion, and automatically they hear it and they reverse something, and they reverse course, despite what has already been laid out. This is the problem.
Yeah. I think that if they can pick up the supermajority they won't get a supermajority until the next election, the next presidential election. But if they can pick up the House and the Senate, they need to definitely use that to their advantage. Because when we have a majority on those two things, and then if they can keep that into the next election, if we even have one, the next presidential election, and pick up a blue White House, then they've got a supermajority, and that's when things really, really, really need to change. It can't just be, let's go back to the status quo. Let's not. Let's go to the status quo and then be like, all right, well, we got the House, we got the Senate, we got the Oval Office. Let's run and see how far we can get before something happens. And I think the Supreme Court needs to be the first on that fucking agenda.
I agree.
Term limits.
This is why I just said
term limits and age limits.
Yeah, the United States Supreme Court needs some changes, but Congress has the power to unseat appointed people on the Supreme Court bench. They can. And so if we get if the Senate and Congress is flipped blue, or the Democrats get a majority in the House, we can move and impeach Trump. We can impeach his cabinet. We can also remove from the bench Supreme Court justices that have been appointed for life. Congress has a lot of power in their purse, but they're not using it. They've given over their power to Donald Trump. And I really believe that once the House is flipped, and I believe it will be flipped, and I believe the Senate will be flipped, and that's when a lot of accountability is going to go in place. And I believe that Trump knows that, and a lot of the cabinet members know that if the House is flipped and Senate is flipped, there's going to be a lot of accountability held, and there's going to be a lot of people going to jail. While Trump may have immunity, his cabinet does not.
Let's test that, because right now we have a guy who, again, National Gardener, who is telling admirals, hey, commit war crimes. Even though we're not at war, it's still a war crime.
And you go to jail for that. Because the Constitution says, and the articles of military justice, it also says, if you are given an illegal order, you are required not to follow that order. And if you follow that order, you will be prosecuted under the Military Code of Criminal Justice.
And they give an example of an unlawful order, and that example is machine gunning shipwreck survivors. It's like they looked at the book and like, fuck it, let's do that. That sounds cool as hell.
You know, which is what we're talking about right now. That off the coast of Venezuela. Remember, Pete Hegseth bombed one boat twice. You're not allowed to do that. If you hit them once and they're down, you cannot attack them again and they're down and they're defenseless. That goes against the military code of justice. You know, you can't do it. But he did it, and now he's saying one of the majors gave the order. But see, the thing is, the majors can't give the orders if it don't come from higher up. The president's office has to give the authority to strike. So Trump saying he didn't know that it happened, but he stands behind Pete. But yet, as this unfolds, you remember we have satellite cameras in space. Release the footage. Let's see what happened. Because now Pete is saying he didn't do that. That one of the majors gave the order to do the second striking of the boat, off the ship of Venezuela. Then
the
they all
admiral
need to
in charge of Southcom, which is a major command.
Yeah.
He threw that dude under the bus this morning. Not 24 hours after posting a picture of Franklin the turtle shooting whatever. Now he's like, hey, listen, Admiral Bradley gave the command and he's a stand-up guy and a professional warrior, and I stand behind him 100%. Right? It's like
he's already trying to pass the buck.
If I were that admiral right fucking now, I would be like, I know that I was just following orders isn't a defense, but I would still be like, I was just following orders. That guy told me to. And I would absolutely try to throw him back on. I'd be like, no, if you're going to throw me under the bus, I'm going to grab you by the ankle and yank you under here with me, you little bitch.
But you know what happened? Trump will issue a pardon. Trump will issue a pardon because it would be federal, which would stop it.
That is my concern. Where is he going to go with all these pardons? Although I will say he kept saying he was going to pardon the J6ers, and it took him forever.
Yeah, but what if it's international? Like, what if they drag that dude before the Hague?
But see, even though it's international, you would literally have to have him convicted, in the other countries as well. Now, Trump's ability to pardon is only for the United States of America. He can't pardon for other countries, but you would literally have to have other countries going after Pete Hegseth, for war crimes. Or whomever it was. Because like you just said, we can't pardon in other countries, but most countries are going to take the lead behind America right now. And that's what they're doing, which is a problem. Instead of telling Trump what he should not be doing or what's wrong, they're kissing his ass, for lack of a better word. Because I think he just had Putin. Isn't Putin here in town again recently? In Washington right now, I think Putin just arrived at the White House today or yesterday.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I know they met in Alaska a couple of months ago. And then what was it? The new head of Syria, who previously was the head of the Daesh in Syria. He was a fucking terrorist who cut off people's heads. And now he's the president of Syria. He was like, yeah, come on over to the White House.
He had that same one at the White House a few weeks ago that actually unalived and beheaded and top of the body parts of a journalist. And Donald Trump said nobody liked that guy anyway. It didn't really matter. This is our president.
Saudi Arabian prince, yeah.
So if anybody is wondering, Afton Bain, they've only got 3% of the votes back. Most of these votes that they've already counted are from very small counties. They're mostly Republican-driven counties. So right now, as it stands, he's got 70%. She's got 26%. However, again, that's only 3% of the vote. It's only a few Republican counties that have reported back in their numbers. So we're still waiting to hear. We haven't gotten any updates as far as that goes. That's the most recent thing that I've heard.
Yeah, it's. I want to see Pete Hegseth be held accountable, but see, I also believe Trump needs to be held accountable. I have a problem with his blanket immunity, and that is a huge problem for me because now he feels that he can do anything in the name of the country and get off or get away with it. But then he threatened to throw Biden in jail for the auto pen if he comes back and say, well, I did do that. But if you recall, back in the summer, Biden said he issued those pardons for the people that got pardons. And Trump is saying, well, I don't believe you did. But if you say it again, I'm going to lock you up and charge you for, perjury? I dare you. You want to charge another president with perjury, but Trump commits perjury every damn day. And he throws out a lot of bullshit and likes to throw out large numbers like with the tariffs. The president does not have the ability to throw tariffs on other countries like that. That can only go through Congress. But now he wants to say, I'm going to clean it up and give you guys a rebate and send back the money to the people. Yeah, because in the beginning you were not allowed to implement tariffs. That is not within the president's authority to impose tariffs and leave them in place. That's out of his realm of scope. Bless you.
Oh, Putin is blackmailing him. That
what I want to know is who has the video of Donald Trump and Bubba. I want to see the real video.
Oh my God!
They record everything else.
I'm still waiting on the P tape though.
Nobody else is going to bring the P tape up except for Big Sarge, but I knew it was coming.
They released one of the pictures because I made a video on TikTok about it where Trump walked over to Clinton and grabbed his crotch, literally. And this is one of the pictures that was released from the Epstein's the estate. And so somebody in Congress leaked it, and Trump couldn't say anything. He actually got pissed off because they were sending him knee pads to the White House. In the mail, he was getting knee pads in the mail at the White House. And Carolina on the news and said that people need to stop sending the president knee pads.
I love that we still have a sense of humor, at least. I mean, the more we laugh, the more they hate us. I mean, but all I can do is point and laugh at this point, because if I don't, I'll end up crying, and I don't think I'll be able to stop.
We need major change in America. We need radical change. We need progressive change. And the day for people to sit back and say it doesn't involve me, or I'm not gonna vote, I don't care. That time has come and gone. This is a new day. This is a new age. This is a new time. And the worst thing we can do as people is sit back and do nothing and not vote. Because I don't want to hear you complain tomorrow and say, well, damn, Trump is fucking up the economy, but did you vote? Did you vote? If the answer was no, I'm sorry, sit the hell down and shut the hell up and sit down somewhere. Because if you did not vote, then you do not have the right to complain about what's wrong now. Do something about it. Do more than protest. Do more than people get on Facebook and they make these posts every day and they holler about all the things that are wrong, but nobody is willing to stand up and do anything. You cannot just bitch and complain if you're not going to put action behind it. Words mean nothing without action.
Right. So very true. Guys, don't freak out about Tennessee. It's only 3% of the vote that's reported back in. It's okay. We're still okay right now.
It's
Have
early.
faith.
Polls just closed.
It's still very, very early. Don't freak out yet. It's not time.
The polls were going to be too close to call anyway. I would just sit back and watch those polls as they come in. I would say by 10 o'clock, you probably have a more realistic view of what's going to happen. Now, also with that being said, I hate to flip back. And if the people who are watching wants to see, if they go to my TikTok, I have posted, I implemented a plan. I put my plan out there for universal housing, for affordable housing, and to increase the minimum wage to an average wage of $20 per hour. Now, that is based over a 3-year plan, but I laid out in detail my plan to increase the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $20 an hour. Because frankly and truly, to go back, we can expect the people to do better and be able to be independent on $7.25 an hour. With that being said, if the average wage is $7.25 an hour, even if I run to $80 an hour at $80 hours times $8 an hour is roughly $640, $1,280 a month. The average person is paying for rent more than $1,000 per month. You're already at a loss out the gate. So how do we expect people to pay their lights, gas, water, and rent if out the door the average person is making $7.25 an hour? You can't afford to live. But then people want to say, well, but you're on food stamps. Believe it or not, most people that are on food stamps are working. They are working. They're not sitting at home doing nothing. But if we expect them to get off the system, then we need to put systems in place that actually get things to where people can survive. But on a working wage of $20 an hour, then they will make enough money to pay their rent, to pay for lights, gas, water, and other things that they need to survive and live. But on $7.25 an hour, you cannot realistically expect the economy to thrive. It's not going to happen. With the rate of inflation today, we're suffering. We're going behind the mark, which is why I laid out in detail a plan to increase the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $20 an hour. I also laid out a plan for universal child care. Now, people often think, well, hey, universal health care, universal child care, that means higher taxes. No. If you actually look at the amount of money that we're paying into the federal taxes yearly, there's more than enough money in the system right now to support a universal healthcare system, to support a universal childcare system. Because, guys, if we implement a universal childcare system and a universal healthcare system, this in turn will lower healthcare costs. It would also lower the number of people that are on welfare, food stamps, housing programs. All of these things will go hand in hand, and it will build a stronger economy, and it'll make people more independent so that they're not relying on welfare and food stamps. And so if they go back and they look at my post, they look at the video that I have laid out, it will lay out detailed plans of how I plan to implement these systems and how I plan to do them over the next 1, 2, or 3 years to get things up to where they need to be. Now, in the universal healthcare system that I implemented, my universal healthcare plan is a 2-tiered system. Tier 1 involves universal healthcare for everybody, which will be funded through taxpayer dollars. Now, if you're the individual that says, hey, I don't want that plan, I have a 2-tiered plan. Tier level 2 is a PPO plan, which now that is fully paid for by either the taxpayer, not all taxpayers. If you let's say, hey, I don't want the universal plan. I want the PPO plan. I want to see a certain doctor. I want to go to a certain hospital. Then you cover the cost of that yourself, or your employer will cover that cost. But on a universal level, the taxpayers are already covering the cost of the tier level 1 plan on a universal plan. This can be done, guys. If we look at the billions that we're spending every year for Medicaid, Medicare, and other subsidies, we are already paying for a universal healthcare system. My universal healthcare plan will also cover mental health, mental illness. It will cover your prescription copays. It will cover your regular doctor visits, your well-care visits. These things will fall under a universal healthcare plan, and it will be covered at no additional cost. But again, once you decide to go from the HMO level to a PPO level, then there's expanded costs that you would have to endure yourself.
Now, would that be keeping the insurance industry involved, or no? It's just straight government plans.
Now, we in this plan, you would still have United Healthcare. You would still have Blue Cross Blue Shield, but it would be a universal healthcare. You can opt into a plan with Blue Cross Blue Shield, Anthem, United Healthcare, HMO, PPO. It will be there for you to elect in. It's just that once you get a universal level of care, this for-profit scheme that most of the insurance companies are using right now will fall by the wayside, because
that's interesting to me. I'm going to tell you why. Yeah. Because people don't understand how much this economy runs on health insurance right now. I mean, you can't just rip the rug out from the insurance industry. The economy will crash. So it's interesting to me. That's a really great and smart plan to be able to say, you know what, I want the universal. I'm also going to get additional coverage through my employer, through whoever it may be, Blue Cross or whoever. That's interesting. I like that a lot. That's actually a really great idea.
Because if we go back to 2010, when Obama first put in his plan for Obama healthcare, initially we were going to go with a universal healthcare plan for all Americans in America. But Obama gave in to the bipartisan, because you had the fighting in the office in Senate and the House about how it was going to be done. So, but everybody agreed to do the subsidy plan versus a universal healthcare plan. Had we done this back then, like it was originally laid out to be done, I believe we would not be having this conversation right now, because we've already worked out the kinks. So, if Donald Trump wants to say, okay, Obamacare is shit, then what is your plan? I don't have a problem with you. They're not saying what's wrong with Obamacare. But if you're going to list all the problems with it, what is your solution to fix the problem?
Right. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Not one person that has went against Obamacare has come up with a plan to make it better. So don't bring problems if you don't have solutions.
Very true. Very, very true. Medicare or supplement. Yeah, it does sound like that. It does, Lex. I agree with you.
But Medicare subsidies are a joke. The Medicare supplemental plan, I'm gonna use my mother. My mother is well into her 70s and she's retired. My mother gets about $900 to $1,000 a month Social Security for her retirement check. Out of that, she's paying over $200 a month in Medicare supplement subsidy plans. You're telling me, what in the hell? Why are our seniors out of their Social Security checks are now having to pay for supplemental policies through United, Aetna, Humana? This should not be the case. So out of her $900 check, $200 a month is going to supplemental plans under United, Humana, Blue Cross Blue Shield. This is a joke. So how are they expected to survive and live if they're having to give out a third of their income to supplemental plans? Now, I posted a few weeks ago, there was a 91-year-old lady in California in New York named Helen. She was arrested because she stole medication from the pharmacy because her husband was dying of congestive heart failure. She could no longer afford to pay for her insurance, so she lost it, and she stole his heart failure medication, and they locked her up, and they actually tried to put her in jail. And the judge in New York, Helen, I think her name was Helen Brown, but if they Google it, it'll pull up. They actually arrested a 91-year-old lady because she stole medications for her 88-year-old husband who was dying for congestive heart failure.
What gets me with this is it's interesting because our audience is, mostly from the US, but a lot of international too. And when they hear things like that, they are blown away that we would arrest a 91-year-old woman and put her in jail for heart medication for her husband.
They locked her up, and the judge in New York threw out the case and said he couldn't believe they had the audacity to do that. And of all places, I was shocked to see that New York did that to a 91-year-old woman. The woman went to the pharmacy to get the medication, and when the pharmacy turned around, she took it in her purse and tried to leave the building. And they had her arrested on the spot and charged her with a felony. And the medication, she normally paid $50 for the medication, but because she no longer had insurance, the medication went from $50 to $950. That is a fucking ripoff.
That is.
You pay, it only costs a pharmaceutical company $5 to manufacture insulin. But if you go attempt to buy insulin at the pharmacy without insurance, you're going to pay hundreds of dollars for a small 10 milliliter vial of insulin. That is a joke. This is why we need a structured universal healthcare system. But with that being said, when Donald Trump came out on January 20th and wrote and did executive orders killing a lot of the insurance subsidies, a lot of the insurance plans that was put in place in the previous administration, United Healthcare and Humana are also the same companies that invested in Donald Trump's campaign.
Right.
Go back and pull his campaign. And so I find it interesting. If you follow the money, if you wonder why Donald Trump did what he did, go back and look at those that have donated to the ballroom. Go back and look at those that had donated to his election and for the 2024 election. And it was United Healthcare. It was Aetna. It was Humana. I challenge these people who are in the comments. Say what you want to say. Go pull it up.
Yep. Absolutely. What, Eljo, we should free Luigi.
You know what? I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him.
I can't blame him. I worked in health insurance for 15 years, and I have to say, I understand it. I understand it. And I worked in it, right? That was my job. That's who gave me my paycheck.
I'm going to say this. As a hospital administrator, I can't tell you how many times I've had to sit back. And if you work in hospitals, you know what I'm talking about. You got somebody come in and they don't have the right insurance. And let's say they need a blood transfusion. Well, because they don't have the proper insurance, they can't get the proper care. And you as a hospital administrator, you're going to either give them medication or you're going to have to let them die because they can't afford the medication. Or you can go back before that ethics committee. And the ethics committee will say, nope, they can't afford it. Sorry, they die. And that's the difference in the hospital between having a good insurance and a subpar health insurance plan. Because if you have good coverage or you have money, you get A1 healthcare. And it's a damn shame. You got two people in the hospital for congestive heart failure with the same diagnosis, but yet the other person that has private health care and private health insurance, or a better plan with a completely different level of care for the same diagnosis or issue as the poor person in the room right next to them. I have watched it. I have been the person in the hospital that administrator had to say, I'm sorry, we can't help you. And they die. And that's why I had to do something different. That is why I got out of for-profit entities and began working in a nonprofit arena, because I can't do this.
It's the reason why I left health insurance and went over to the provider side. And I mean, not that, they're a ton better, but they're definitely not withholding care from people. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. You're not. I can tell you how many people I treat on a daily basis that come through my clinics or my healthcare organizations that gets prescriptions, medications, and things that they need, and they go to another doctor. He want to charge them $800-900, and we do it for $100. Now, we don't accept insurance, but everything that we do is either we fundraise and raise the money from the community, or we get other hospitals or other healthcare entities like Cook's Children that will donate $1 million or $800,000 to the cause. And so that allows us to provide care for the uninsured or the underinsured population. And it happens a lot. Believe it or not, it happens a lot.
It's crazy out there. If we're the only first nation without universal health care. Yes, we should have it. We should have it.
Healthcare,
I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Yeah, healthcare is a right, not a privilege.
And it shouldn't be something that you're having to declare bankruptcy over, but we see that all the time too.
It is a sad day in America when people have to decide between paying for prescriptions and paying their rent. That should never happen. This is America. This is one of the richest countries in the nation, but yet we have people dying every day because they have to choose between paying the rent or paying for healthcare. That shouldn't be the case. It should not be. We can give Argentina $40 billion, but we can't make sure America can have universal health care. Come on, guys.
And guys, I work in healthcare, so I just want to say this one thing. My husband has Medicare. He has a Blue Cross Blue Shield Medicare Advantage plan. I am making him come off of the private insurance and go back to straight Medicare, because if we don't all start doing that, I see it every day. And I work in a specialist organization, and I see it all the time. They want to gatekeep your health care, right? Not only make you pay for it, they want to gatekeep it and tell you can't have this, you can't have that. But when you have straight Medicare's so big, they can't, nickel and dime everything like that. They can't keep a microscope on it.
And they have the right. The people on Medicare have the right to opt out of those plans. They can opt into a traditional Medicare plan.
Get back on straight Medicare if you can. Get back on straight Medicare, and if you need a prescription plan, then buy that separately, but get back on straight Medicare.
Yeah. You have to put it in writing. Writing, because if you don't put it in writing and say you want to opt out of a managed plan and go back into a traditional Medicare plan, you can do the same thing with Medicaid. You can opt out of a managed Medicaid plan. Now, that may change come January 1 when this BBB, this big bitter bill kicks in, because there are a lot of cuts. But as of today, you have the right to opt out of a managed plan and go into a traditional Medicare and or Medicaid plan.
What if we had taken that $40 billion that we gave to Argentina and put it into the VA? What if we taken that $40 billion and put it, I mean, the things that I see that make my skin crawl.
We spend the $40 billion we gave Argentina. America we don't even spend $40 billion on the ACA subsidies per year. We spend less than that on the subsidies. So if we can spend that much money on the subsidies, we can give universal health care to every person here.
You bet.
And it won't cost anything. Because if we look at how much we spend for recipients that are on Medicaid, Medicare, and the uninsured, because the federal government every year gives millions to each state for their uninsured population, or to subsidize healthcare premiums, or to subsidize hospitals that are nonprofit, or that has to do a lot of write-offs. If we take that money and we invest it into a universal healthcare plan, the cost of healthcare would reduce substantially, and those funds can be used in other areas. This is why I say people don't realize, they don't get it. If you actually invest in a universal healthcare plan, healthcare costs will go down dramatically.
For everybody, for everything. And, that includes putting a lid on big pharma, right? Yeah. I mean, it just will. It just freaking will.
We got to. You know, I can't tell you the number of patients that we treat with, I'm going to use HIV, for example. You pay the average person that has HIV is paying $5,000 a month for their medication. Let me rephrase it. Medicare or Medicaid is paying that, or their private insurance is paying that for their insurance. But it only costs big farms a couple $100 to produce that medication in mass. But yet they're charging 1,000 times the cost in profit. It's a joke. People think that PrEP is a medication that prevents healthcare workers and other people who are at risk for developing HIV from getting HIV. So if you take this medication, but when Trump came in on January 20th, he wrote executive orders banning these plans where the government subsidized or required insurance companies to set aside funds to cover people who were high risk for HIV or who were high risk for heart failure or diabetes that could not afford their prescriptions, and they had to put money into a certain fund. Well, Trump wrote an executive order to end a lot of those things. And people don't realize if we practice preventative, a lot of these things would change. The pharmaceuticals companies can reduce costs and still make millions every year if they reduce and restructure the cost of prescription drugs.
Yeah, and I'm not going to cry for those pharmaceutical reps.
I don't feel sorry for them because
who have been making $500,000 bonuses every year.
Have you not seen it? When they tell you physicians get kickbacks, a lot of physicians were getting kickbacks from from pharmaceutical reps. If you advocate this medication, if you give your patients this medication, if your numbers are this level, we will give you a subsidy. We will give you this. They were getting huge kickback. Huge. When I say huge, huge kickbacks. And that's where the Stark law came in. You know, they wanted to say back in 2008 or was it 2012 when they started saying physicians couldn't own hospitals because of this Stark kickback law. But yet, Congress still does the same thing. Congress takes money from these lobbying groups or these big farm groups to advocate and write legislation that protects these big farms, pharmaceutical companies, should I say, let me say that out, pharmaceutical companies, but yet they say the doctors can't do this and the doctors can't do that. But the same thing is happening through these big farm companies.
Yeah, it's true. Trying to see who's reporting. Trying to open the, I don't know. You guys will have to tell me. I can't see it right now.
Yeah,
What's going on in Tennessee? I can't see it right now.
It's not spooling for me.
But neither here nor there.
This is going to be where we wrap it up. I got to get to a removal coalition meeting here shortly. So usually when I say let's start wrapping it up, it takes like another 20 minutes.
We're a little long-winded. I know we are. Okay.
Well, I would like to say, go ahead.
I would rather be long-winded than like have like a 20-minute show and just be like, well,
that's true.
That's it.
That's all I had. Remind the constituents, guys, the people that are watching, the guys, you know, again, for those who don't know me, my name is Dr. Kenneth Morgan-Aguilera. I'm running for Congress in Texas 12th Congressional District. I'm running as a grassroots candidate, and I ask you guys that are out there watching it, without your support, me and other grassroots candidates cannot do this. We cannot run this race without the support of the community and the constituents out there of the everyday working class families. So I ask you guys, for those of you that are looking to support my campaign, please, in here, there's listed my link tree. The link tree here will take you to my ActBlue website where you can securely make a donation to my campaign. But not only me, there's other guys on ActBlue that you can donate to if you don't actually see eye to eye with my campaign. There's others out there, but without your support, we cannot do this. And I would say to you guys that every dollar matters. So if you like what you've heard tonight, if you support the platform that I stand on, I ask you guys to please support my run for office with a donation. Every dollar matters, every dollar counts, but without your support, I can't do this. You guys can follow me on TikTok. You guys can follow me on Facebook, but the link tree will give you a link to my YouTube channel, to my TikTok, to my Facebook, to my Instagram, where you guys can interact with me daily and on a regular basis. I am available to you guys.
All right. Sounds good to us. Thank you so much, by the way, for coming on. We hope you'll come back. We'd love to have you again.
Anytime. Thank you guys for the time. I appreciate it.
And if you don't go fucking donate, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to shit on your lawn. Point blank.
Leave it to
I
Big
tell you
Sarge.
guys, so far I've probably raised about maybe 4 or 5 grand, and I've been in the campaign for 8 months. And I am the only Democrat running in District 12, so I would ask you guys, hey, step up, support me, donate. I can't do it without the donations. I cannot. I know I've paid a lot of the things out of my own pocket, but it's gonna take the community. It's gonna take the working class families to donate, because like I say, I can't do it without their support.
And just to let you know, after we usually wrap up, I will go on to our page and I will make a big post with all your links and everything too. Sarge loves when I do that. He always likes to tell me thank you profusely.
I am a grassroots candidate, and I did sign a pledge not to accept any funds, from special interests or lobby groups. And guys, and hold me accountable. My congressional Blue account is public information. You go to the FEC's website and you can see everybody that has donated. You can see any special interest groups, not only for me, but for anybody that's running, candidate or another elected official running for re-election. You can see their information. If they're not running a grassroots campaign, guys, I would say we need to change that. We need people in office that are running a grassroots campaign, that are looking out for the people and not for their own private interests or special lobbying groups.
Amen. Amen to that. All right, guys, I'm going to go wash my face, brush my teeth, get up and do it all again tomorrow.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks
I'm going to go eat. I'm hungry.
Go enjoy.
Thank you. Y'all
so
have a
much
good day.
for giving us your time and for being on our live stream.
Thank you guys very much. Anytime, guys. Appreciate it very much.
Our next 2 shows, we've got Tuesday, December 9th, we've got Immigrant Pantry Memphis, and then Lisa, hold on to your panties. December 16th, we've got Bernard Taylor. We're also working on Marielana Kinter, who is a member of the Removal Coalition. And Marielana, if you're watching and I mispronounced your first name, I'm sorry. We have a couple other things that we're trying to work out with Removal Coalition candidates and influencers. We don't like that term, but that's what everyone knows. So trying to get them on the show as well. So stay tuned to our Tuesday live streams. Thank you to the 40 some odd, 50 some odd people who tuned in, and to Claps and a Rick. Woo! That's our show.